Hello, and firstly I'd like to wish you all a very happy new year. For those of you who haven't seen our videos before, if you go to the Revesby Estates YouTube channel, like and subscribe, what you'll find is every month I am doing an update on what we get up to here at Revesby Estates, and in particular in this one on the farm. So you can follow the whole farm throughout the whole year cycle to see what happens during the changing of the seasons, planting of the crops right through to the harvesting of them, and then them going on and beyond to be hauled off to their final destinations. So I hope we found these videos informative, the ones we've already done, and hopefully the ones we've got coming forward. So during December, what have we been up to? A slower month for us really. We've still been lifting our sugar beet crop, which is heading off to British Sugar at Newark. Behind that we've been drilling winter wheat, and we are actually at date with our drilling campaign. So a big hats off to all the team through some tricky conditions to keep us on track with our winter wheat drilling campaign. Other things, other than that, it's mainly been getting equipment washed down, cleaned off, serviced up, ready for the campaigns to come in the springtime. Now the weather just of late has been very cold, the end of the year, so into the new year we've had some quite hard frosts, which are good news and in some ways also bad news, but in majority they are actually very good news for a farmer. So the frost actually do several things for us. Some of them are bad, like freezing up water in the water troughs, which we have to go when we check the deer, make sure the deer have got fresh water, go and break that ice all the time. So whilst feeding the deer here, these frosty days, obviously good for certain things, but not for the water troughs that the deer are feeding out. So just whilst feeding them, we just come round and check all the troughs, take the ice out. So they finish feeding, they'll come and get some fresh water then. Do this twice a day just to make sure they've always got fresh water available. But also it brings its benefits, one of which is in the control of aphids. Now I'm sure keen gardeners out there will know how troublesome aphids are. They are extremely troublesome to us as farmers as well. Aphids not only feed direct on the crop as it's getting towards grain fill, so supping energy, supping the sap out of that crop, which can hit yield, but the main factor what aphids bring is viruses into crops. All the cereals, winter wheat, barleys suffer from a virus known as BYDV, barley yellow dwarf virus. This virus basically stunts the crop, stops it growing, and it doesn't perform to its potential. So we don't want aphids in there. Sugar beets, we get the beet yellows in there as well. If you drive past a crop of sugar beet and see it looking very yellow, that is more than likely being infected by the virus from the aphids. These are very yield robbing to our crops. In the past we've had the helps of seed dressings. If you're not an organic farmer, we've been putting seed dressings on, which is the safest way to actually apply these with seed. It's controlled, it's in a controlled atmosphere, and what it does is protects that crop for its first sort of 10-11 weeks of its growing period. When the aphids are active in the autumn, come land on the plant, start to feed, and will actually then be killed by the insecticide on that crop. But after sort of 10 to 11 weeks, it has gone out of the crop, the crop's tilled, grown on, it's too weak in that plant anymore and doesn't have any effect, but it's taken that initial flush of aphids out. We no longer have that, so that's a different subject, a different matter, move on. So what we have to do is rely on nature as best we can. So these frosts, what we've had, are really good because they really will hurt the aphids. They do actually kill the aphids off, so it will really knock the populations down. So hopefully we can get several more weeks of these hard frosts, really knock the populations of aphids down, and that'll give us a real big boost. So hopefully we don't have to use any insecticides in the crops through the springtime to control these aphids, which are severely damaging to our crops. For example, the sugar beet, some people are reporting 50-60% yield loss this year due to aphid infections. Another benefit from the frost, I'm studying one of our cover crop fields at the moment, and you can see our little friends behind the sheep. I'm munching away on this cover crop, actually taking the top off here, turning it around and then putting the muck back into the soil. All nutrition, all beneficial for us. But some of our cover crops, like the ones in the rape, the Berseem clover, if you see some of my earlier videos when I talk about the Berseem clover, very frost sensitive. So these frosts now have finished that Berseem off, totally gone. So that will not need any control with any herbicides at all. It has died off, it is releasing its nitrogen back into the ground, which that oilseed rape crop in another sort of, where are we now, beginning of January, 4 or 5 weeks will start supping up and start using to growth. As the day lengths draw out, that is the trigger for actual crops to start growing. It's not temperature, it's actual day length which dictates the growth pattern of a crop. So they will soon start to grow and in turn suck that nitrogen back out the ground. So the frost doing us a big favour there. Another favour frost does, if you cultivate your land, we don't do a lot of cultivations anymore here at Revesby. We do a little bit in front of sugar beet, so we have ploughed a bit of land in front of sugar beet. Plough it over in the summer when it's dry, sits there just on the plough, but when you get these frosts in it, you get the frost shattering action. So as you'll know, water expands when it freezes, water gets in all the little crevices within the soil, then as it freezes, it expands and it shatters the soil, and then that constant thawing, freezing, shattering action just keeps breaking the clods down and down and down to make you a tilth to drill into. So actually, again, you don't need to use any more cultivations if you're lucky, if we get enough frost on top of that ploughing before you come to drill your sugar beet. So we're using nature where we can, as much as we can. It's our best friend, and we try and learn as best we can how to use it. So again, talking of nature, here's our four-legged friends just munching on all this cover crop here, and they in turn then are putting their muck back into the soil for the bacteria to all feed on, and it will produce, as you can see here, I dig this open, this soil structure under here, absolutely perfect for drilling into. That already structured, the roots keep it open and fine. The bacteria is then dragging all the earthworms and microbes, drag all that sheep muck down, produces phosphates and such like for the growing crop. This sheep probably be on here for another week to 10 days, and then this crop here will then be followed with a crop of spring oats drilled direct straight into this mulch, which will then hopefully give us a very fertile next crop. So that's really our December. Like I say, it's one of our, I wouldn't say slow months because there's always lots happening, but it's one of the months where the lads get to draw breath a little bit, get the kit ready through the workshops, ready for the coming spring. What I think I'll do in the January video is just give you a walk through of our machinery, what we have here on the estate for operating the farm. It's very minimal, and the plans is for it to get even less as we go on, but I'll just give you an introduction to all the bits of kit and what they are and what they do. And also, if we keep getting these frosts, as promised in another video, I'll try and get a picture of the wild birds and our wild bird mixed plots. They should really start now, another couple of frosts, they should really start finding them and using them. So yes, we'll look forward to seeing you again for our January update at the beginning of February. So once again, Happy New Year everybody.